Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendez, and this is the big match playoff final preview. Hope you guys are all well on your Thursday evening. We are looking ahead to Sunday's playoff final against Leyton Orient at Wembley Stadium. Joining me to look ahead to this massive game. First up, top right, is Mr. Tom Wallen. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I've been better. Very, very nervous. But
Shaking like a leaf.
Something like that. Yeah, shaking like something, that's for sure. But excited as well. But yeah, nervous.
Yeah, bottom left is Mark Newbury. How you doing, Mark?
It's all zen, mate. It's all zen. That's all we got to think of it.
You've been there and you've done it before. Mark's lived through plenty of experiences like this. And also bottom right is Sue Gallop. How you doing, Sue?
I'm very good. I'm probably a mixture between Tom and Mark. I'm excited like a little 12-year-old. I think I'm like buzzing. I was walking around the office today singing Wembley, and I was just like looking at me really weird.
Well, they would do, wouldn't they? Really, but yeah, no, I'm similar. I'm excited. I am nervous. I'm a bit of everything. I'm looking forward to tonight's show, though. I'm glad that we can all come together to preview this massive game on tonight's show. Then there's not really much to talk about other than the fact that we are going to Wembley Stadium on Sunday. It's a 1 minute past one kickoff as we face Leyton Orient for a place in the Championship next season. So we're going to look ahead to that game this evening. We're going to go through our previous meetings with the O's in the league so far this season. We've got Leyton Orient royalty joining us later on in the show. Dave Victor from BBC Radio London, who knows all about the O's and has done for a very long time, will join us as well. And hopefully we're going to get a special guest fan joining us towards the end of the show as well. Fingers crossed everything will go right with that, because that'll be a fun one. We want to know how you guys are feeling ahead of the game. Make sure you email us, studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or the best thing to do is to head into the live chat on YouTube, as Sam has done, saying the countdown's definitely on now. His tickets have arrived. Mike's in there, Alan, Brad, Joseph, Andrew's in there, Norman, Dudley. Let us know your feelings ahead of the final. Are you feeling confident? Are you feeling nervous? And do you think we have it in us to go and beat the O's and regain a place in the Championship after what feels like a million years away, but it's 5 years away? But it'd be very, very nice if we can get back up there to the second tier. Tom, Wembley occasions don't come around that often. You know, they're starting to come around a bit more often for us now. It's nice now. Once every 6 years, I'll take that. But last time we went there, it was very much, for me, brilliant. We're at Wembley, and in my head, that was the prize. We've got to Wembley. We're finally playing at the new Wembley. You know, obviously what happened after that was a bonus, and what a bonus it ended up being. This time around, it feels slightly different to me, because we've ticked Wembley off. You know, we've done that. We've had our day out. This is about business, and this is about getting up to the Championship for me. So I think I'm going to feel the pressure more on Sunday than I did 6 years ago. How do you assess it?
I couldn't be in more agreement. And I know everybody won't feel like this, but I never went to 98. And ever since, I wanted to go to Wembley with my granddad. So when we got there in 2019 and we did that, got to Wembley, I was like, great, that's done. We've achieved it. We're there. And obviously scoring with 4 seconds left is going to make a difference. And going up was obviously ended up being part of that whole package. But initially, it was about getting there. My granddad's like too old to come this year, so he's not coming. But I think even if he was, I'd still feel the same as what you're saying, where now my barometer of success for the day will be if we win, and that's it. And I think, look, if we'd have lost last time, I don't know, I might not have been saying the same stuff, but we didn't. But this time I know my mood and everything is going to be so based on the result. And so I think that's why I'm nervous, because I'm so far out of control with that. And so I'm finding it a lot harder to kind of cope with the nerves this time, because it's all about the result. And until the game kicks off, and I'm hoping once the game kicks off, it'll be easier. I felt the same in the semi-final as well this year. I'm struggling with it, to be totally honest with you. I'm really struggling with it. And it's one of those things all week. I've been I'm like, I want content. I need content. I need to know what other people are doing. So I'm checking Twitter. I'm looking on the website just in case they've posted a new story about tickets sold or something, just so I've got something to read. And then every time I do read it or something, that makes me even more nervous. Nothing's working. I'm playing Valley Floyd Road or I'm playing music or whatever, and nothing's helping. So we just got to get there now. Just get there to Sunday, have a beer, which I know Nate said that on the show after the playoff semi-final, but genuinely had a couple of beers before that game, nothing wild, and it did help. And I think I'll be a bit calmer then. But yeah, it feels, like you said, it feels bigger this year. And I think that's because we just need to win. I just need us back in the Championship. Fed up of going to Field and Northampton and all these places. Like, I want to go to bigger grounds, and I want to be in the Championship now.
Yeah, a lot of people have been prescribing you beer in the chat there, including our resident publican Joe there, saying you could do with a beer, just a tea in the Charlton Live mug for now, Tom. Mark, how are you feeling ahead of the day, ahead of the occasion? A day at Wembley is very, very special for a club. You know, the way our tickets are flown out the door have shown how special it is. People want to be involved in what's going to be a fantastic occasion.
It's funny, I'm surprisingly calm. But to be quite honest, I felt like this before 98, and like I'm wearing my 98 polo. It's not that I wasn't excited about going, but it's a strange thing, because I understand that you are finding different things to do, and like some says, you try and distract yourself with other things. But it's not in our. It's going to sound funny. It's not in our hands, kind of thing. It's in the players' hands, and we've put a lot of trust in Nathan, and he's put a lot of trust in his players, and I think they're going to repay us. And I think that's the way I look at it. I'm thinking, would I be more worried, concerned? It's not a sort of like a blasé attitude to it, because Orient are going to be a test, and it's not just a day out for them. You know, it's funny because I've seen a lot of things on TV where everyone's tipping them anyway, and I'm thinking I actually almost prefer that. It's strange for us to be the favourites somehow because of where we finished in the league and what we did, but I'm just I know it says 3 sleeps left on my thing there, but it's 3 sleeps, and then I think the excitement when I get off a train and walking up Wembley Way towards the stadium, I think that's when it'll kick in probably a bit more, when you can see the stadium, and then it might hit me. But until then, there's nothing I can do till 1 o'clock Sunday lunchtime, apart from sing my heart out, which we were going to do anyway. So it's a case of trying to sort of calm. I think if you get too high, too low with everything, it's going to hurt more, kind of thing. Does that make sense? It's just building up. And I can understand there's lots of kids out there and younger fans this will be their first trip, and it's amazing. Like I say, 98, I remember vividly. There's so much from the day, and I remember feeling so exhausted afterwards. But I'm just looking forward to it without any kind of extra hype needed, because I think the work we've put in the last the last 5 months, this is the culmination of it. And I think if you're not ready for it, and I'm enjoying it, I'm enjoying every bit of it, but I'm not sort of I'm not sitting with my coat on ready to go now, kind of thing. I can wait till Sunday and jacket.
Yeah, that's good. It's good because you have to. Sue, we can see you're keeping it together. How are you feeling ahead of Sunday? It's a culmination of, a long season, a roller coaster of a season. At times, neither Leyton Orient or Charlton would have thought it would have ended like this, but it's going to end with 2 sides from 2 London sides facing up Wembley. Massive crowd there. Nathan's hard work that he's put in all this season and the way he's driven those boys and got them to Wembley, it all will all be tested on Sunday. How are you feeling ahead of it?
I think it was Tom that got me talking about his granddad. It just made me start to feel emotional, and then you start to think about all your memories that you've had over the seasons, and people maybe that have been there for those big days that are not around anymore, or you think of Sebo, and do you know what I mean? People like that. And it just, I think over the last sort of, since we was at Wembley last, we pretty much went on a downward spiral, really, didn't we? And I think that how I'm feeling at the moment with the emotion, I mean, a lot of you know that I actually got stuck in New York, so couldn't get back for Thursday night. I should have been there. and I cried my eyes out in the middle of JFK Airport once like it had finished, just partly with relief, but like just such a sense of pride of everyone involved in this thing, that this journey that Nathan's been taking us on. And I think like all of us, like seeing the fans, watching the fans on the pitch and everything, I think I am massively excited. Unlike Mark, I wish I could go right now and get it done. I am that excited, but as well, I think there's that emotional thing where we do feel like we're a lot more connected as a fan base, as a club, and I think the emotion now is getting to me where I just feel really, really proud of everybody, especially Nathan. I mean, I've never hidden my joy about when Nathan was appointed, and just the pride now that he's showing what I knew he would do, and just knowing that will continue. It's just lovely. Like, they're good tears. They're not. It's not a bad emotion. It's all positive. But as you know, I'm a bit of a sappy one, so that's where the tears come from.
I can see there's a lot of people in the chat who are after my own heart, because I've seen at least 2-3 people suggesting different Wetherspoons to meet up in before the game. A few people saying they're going to go to the Green Man. I mean, it's going to be some day out, Tom. As I said, like, the occasion of a day at Wembley is one to be savoured. And I know our fans are going to do it. The atmosphere is going to be phenomenal. You know, round the pubs, round the Green Man, Box Park, we've got as well, by the sounds of it. We've got all those pubs on that side of the ground. Inside the ground, it's going to be something else. It's really like that atmosphere. It's going to be tense, you know. Hopefully it will last longer than we won't have the little 5-minute shock we had last time. But you know, it's going to be some occasion in terms of the noise that those Charlton fans are going to make inside that stadium. Yeah,
and we did have the 5-minute shock, but at the same time, I was listening to Not the Top 20 today, and they were still saying our fans from that year are the loudest they'd ever heard at Wembley. So I don't know if anybody was trying to compliment some of the fans that were there last weekend. Obviously, Wembley had a tough time last weekend, but they're saying, look, our fans have been the best in playoffs they've ever seen. So we still managed to maintain that, despite what Naby did, or Dills did, or whoever you want to blame for that incident in the first half. So it will be great. As you say, it is an opportunity to be savoured, and we've got to try and enjoy it as best we can. And you still can. And I don't think I necessarily disagree with what Mark said, but when Mark said you can't get 2 up or 2 down because it matters more, I feel like I kind of want to. I don't want to go into this just feeling like, meh. I want this to matter. And so I am working myself up. I know I'm doing it, but also it's not like it's not intentional. It's just happening because I care so much. And so I guarantee if we lose, I'll be in floods of tears, and I'll be a nightmare, and I'll be miserable, and I'll be moody all the way home and for the days after. But if we win, that payoff is so worth it, because you invest so much into it that you feel like it matters more. And as I say, I don't think that's anything that I'm forcing. I just know that that's how I feel. I couldn't even tell you what time I left Wembley last time. I just know I was there for what felt like hours and hours and hours, just enjoying it, soaking it all up. And if you win, that's worth it. And I guess as neutrals, you don't get the opportunity to do that, but that's what the playoffs gives you, right? It becomes a cup final. And if you like, I obviously have taken top 2, and even if we win at Wembley and that moment and that feeling, I still rather have gone top 2, because I don't like having to deal with all this. But if you win, that payoff's there. It's as simple as that. So yeah, you do have to try and enjoy it, and this is part of it as well. Like, we have to try and enjoy this pod. I know Charlton TV are doing a preview. Like, I remember watching the one they did last time, and you just got to soak up all that content and enjoy it, and the chips will fall where they do. But I just really want to win. I say all that, I just really want to win.
Yeah. There's some great comments coming in. Richard has flown all the way from West Australia and landed back in London today, temporarily residing in sunny Woolwich. I have my tickets for Sunday. Bring it on. Of all the places you could have resided in. But yeah, Lionel saying, yeah, meeting up at Wetherspoons. Lovely stuff. 76 Rufus, my 13-year-old is going to have his second Charlton Wembley experience. Kids these days don't know how lucky They are. Yeah, so I think I was 9 in 98. Yeah, it would have been just before my 10th birthday. So that was my first one. And I was not good. I was an absolute wreck for large spells of that game. I missed Sunderland's first goal because I was in the toilets crying about something, and the nerves of it was too much. But I can't really say I was much better in 2019 as well, because I cried on air when we scored. Like, these are emotional days that you can't sort of you can't. I can't separate the emotion from the occasion or anything like that. They're just so overwhelming sometimes, but it's so exciting to be involved in a game like this. Let's have a listen to our last 2 meetings with Leyton Orient in the league so far this season. We've played them twice. We've beaten them twice. It's not been straightforward either time, though.
We are underway here at the Valley, and it's Orient in the centre circle, and Brown goes to his right-hand side. Challenge, gets something on it, Godden, and Coventry looking for it. Berry gets there and slides it home. Luke Berry sends the Valley into rapture.
I was delighted. Thought we were excellent, start to finish. Leyton Orient is a good side, really good defensive record. You know, last year one of the best in the league at it. Local derby, 12:30 kickoffs guy are here, so you know you worry how everyone's going to react. But I thought we were aggressive from the start.
Well, Charlton have got the kick-off, and we are underway as the ball goes back to Ramsey, drills it
comes
forward.
down to Kelman, and challenge was from Gillespie and then Anderson. Good block from the Pratley shot, comes back to Brown. Oh, what a strike from range from Jordan Brown. It's a wonderful strike beyond Mannion. Nothing he can do about it. There's too much power on that. And Leyton Orient's second half start has rewarded them with a goal.
To Charlton, Gilbert with it, sends it in, deep one. Keeper can't get there, and the header comes in, and it's Gillespie for Charlton. Keely's incensed. He came out looking for the ball, he couldn't get there, and Macaulay Gillespie heads it home to bring Charlton back level.
Yeah, and it's no more than we deserve on the day. Let's be brutally honest with the chances we've created. It's the very least we deserve.
Gilbert delivers it. Keely this time comes again. There's the header in! Charlton won it! It's Kane Ramsey to deliver the blow. Once again, Keely came for it and couldn't. And Kane Ramsey has won it for Charlton.
And he'll be the first to admit that isn't his best performance of the season by some distance. But there's your hero for the day.
What a turnaround here. And there is the final whistle. Quite an incredible turnaround from Charlton in this game, and every single player and member of staff is running towards the Charlton fans in celebration. Quite an extraordinary last few minutes.
Look, this put the context is, you know, Leyton Orient are a very, very good side. Richie's done a magnificent job here. The way they play, the threats, the quality they have, they're a very, very good side. So to come here and to play the way we did, I'm really proud. But then obviously to get the win, we started both halves poorly, and that's what put us behind. And look, it took a wonderful strike to beat us. But then after that, look, I thought we were well worth the win. You know, the amount of chances we've had, the keepers had man of the match. We've missed chances, we've had situations, we haven't quite taken advantage of all those, and then it takes 90 odd minutes to win a game, and that's what it is.
There we go. So, well, 2 games where we end up winning with late goals against Leyton Orient, Tom. I mean, I'll take that again on Sunday, although I don't know if my ticker could take it. But the 2 games against Orient this season, it's quite interesting, particularly the away game, because obviously it's more recent, and Orient have really hit their stride by then. But I mean, we had chances throughout, but so did they. It was one of our most challenging games, one of the most open games we've had this season. It was genuinely one of the most entertaining games we've had this season as well. And I would have said that if we'd lost it 1-0, like even before what happened at the end, which was a historic late turnaround that we just haven't done before away from home in the league. You know, unbelievable game. The home game, I remember being a little bit surprised that Orient ended up having such a bad start after that win. So they'd lost on the opening day against Bolton, but you'll remember they had some goalkeeper mistakes from Zach Hemming, who was the keeper at the time. Went and lost to us, lost against Birmingham, which is, you know, they're 3 results that could happen to any side in this division. Then they went and lost at Shrewsbury, and I remember thinking, right, maybe they got some problems here. But unsurprisingly, they picked up as the season wore on, because they were probably unlucky to lose 1-0 at our place as well.
think they're a very good side. Yeah, I think Richie Wellens has done an amazing job there. They obviously like to move the ball around and pass the ball around a lot. They're quite similar to us in terms of the way they score their goals, in as much as Kelman gets a lot of them and then they're sort of shared around, but quite a gap, quite a drop off from him in the same way we've got with Matty Godden. So, yeah, I would expect the game to be more cagey than the one at their place because it's Wembley and because there's so much on the line. I can't imagine it's going to be open like that. And if it is, I'm not sure I could take it. But I think it will be more cagey. It probably will be decided by very fine margins. If we're looking for positives or things that we can take out of those games, and I don't know whether we can because it's so different, but they only scored 1 goal against us, and it was a goal from long range. And that's not a fluke. We know we're tight defensively on the whole. And we've won them both. So even that game where we were 1-0 down, and yes, the goals came so late, we still did go on and win the game. So that's got to give us some sort of belief. We talked about that in the Wickham games as well. Again, the games that we had in the playoff semi-finals were very, very different. But was it that belief that got us over the line in that second half of the second leg? I don't know. So yeah, Nathan Jones and the staff have just got to be looking to pick anything out like that. But as I say, it is going to be more cagey. I think if they are going to try and knock it around and play their game on that big pitch, we have to just try and press high. We have to put that energy in, try and start fast. As we proved in 2019, you can go behind and still win. But if you do score first, or as if Charlton score first, we know what an impact that can have. And of course, you just don't want to go gung-ho and then get picked off. But at the same time, I think if we can start, and I don't want to sound like Nathan Jones, but it's true. If we're the best version of ourselves, we probably are the better team. Probably. But, you know, it's a cup final. It's a one-off game. You just don't know how it's going to play out. So, yeah, you have to look at all of those factors and try and factor that in. But as you said, Leyton Orient are a good side. They got in the playoffs for a reason. Despite that massive drop-off they had, they still managed to get back in when we'd kind of written them off on this podcast. And that's going to give them huge confidence. And to go up to Stockport in the semis, a ground that we found very, very tough. They did too, but they came through that pressure and that atmosphere, took some good penalties and thoroughly deserved their place in the final as well. So, yeah, it's not going to be a walkover. I don't think it would have been against Stockport either. But we've got to take confidence in the performances and the results that we've had so far.
Joe says there's more pressure as it's Orient and not Sunderland. Losing to Sunderland would feel more palatable because they were another club punching below their weight with us. Dean says nerves kicking in now. The last 2 finals, we were the underdogs. This time we're apparently 8-13 on favourites, Mark. So I think we probably are favourites outside of Charlton and Orient, you know, that world out there. I think not the top 20 said they think that Orient will do it, but I think most people would edge us as favourites because we finished higher. Maybe people you know, naively look at club size or anything like that, which you can't take into an account when there's 22 blokes running around on a big pitch. But I think there is pressure that comes with that. The fact that we are probably favourites in a lot of people's mind. Yeah,
it's funny because I say on the Sky preview, I say all their pundits went for Orient. I mean, they were a couple of ex-Orient players, so we're not going to say anything else. Favourites, non-favourites. It's how you handle the pressure, I think, and the noise and everything, and the way. Obviously, the prep would have gone well this week. And the one thing which has been really noticeable about our style of play for the last, I say, since Christmas, since middle of December, is the organisation and how organised we looked. Very few times did we then look a bit shaky because then you have a half time, gets it organised, does it again. I mean, there's been games that haven't been great. You know, the games we've lost, we probably deserve to lose. But it's the organisation. And I think the one thing about Wembley is statistically it's not bigger than football pitches because they can't be. But it does seem like a big, large pitch. And I think for our width, for a small and Tyrese, to have all that lovely green space ahead of you, and you can they're going to be chomping at the bit to get that, to attack that space. And it's a whole kind of like different ball game for it. And if you can restrict Orient to pot shots and stuff. I mean, they've got some dangerous players. They proved that when they scored against us from distance. But, will we be outworked? Highly unlikely. Do we have more skillful players? Possibly evenly balanced there, but it's a difficult one to sort of like try and see who's a favourite, who's not a favourite, because we've got the two best scorers in the league. So, but we've got possibly a better defence, more attacking threats all round. I mean, I know, like Tom said, they do share it around, but if you look of our goal scorers, I mean, it's not going along the bottom of a ticker, but it's about sort of like 20 different scorers this season we've had. So, which is, as opposed to previous years when we've had about 6, we can get goals from anywhere.
Yeah. So Ed says there's nothing between the two teams. Honestly, going to come down to who turns up on the day and handles the occasion. Harry says we need our senior players to keep on top of the occasion. Now, if you look back at 2019, as we said, no one saw that first 5 minutes coming, certainly, but there was, people who perhaps didn't handle the occasion that well, and Napster, for all his benefits, got taken off at half time, and that old war horse Jason Pearce, who, I love Pearcey, and he came on at half time, and was there in the melee, if we call it that, when we scored the winner. That will be big for us. I'm looking through our team, Sue, at some of those senior heads. Obviously, Doherty as the skipper is going to be involved. Godden, been there and done that throughout his career, is going to be important for this. Obviously, the defence, people like Jones and Gillespie, who've Gillespie's obviously won promotion from this division. We don't know what's going to be the deal with Berry yet. That'll be interesting team news, I guess, as the day wears on, but those senior players are going to be massive for us, and that is something that people always say, but we have physical proof of it, because that's what we needed to get through last time.
Yeah, I think you're right, Louis. And I think even if someone like Luke Berry is not involved in Sunday's match on the pitch, he'll be involved. So I think there's like, we've always said, haven't we? We've got such a young squad, but having those older heads to just calm things down. And I think even like people like Danny Hilton, like they're the ones that are going to be talking to these younger players, and their experience will sort of guide them through the whole thing, because it isn't just about the game. It's the build up. It's the attention, the focus. The fact that they've made us favourites this time, which hasn't happened the last 2 times, I think, it's then just making sure that everyone is like, all right, for us, it's not just another game, but it is just another game. So you've got to keep that level-headedness about trying to take that emotion out for the players, because they need to have that focus, right? Let's just do what we've been doing, most of the season, not all season, but most of the season. Do our thing, get our heads down, do what we've been doing lately. And I think, and Nathan's going to be really hot on that as well, because mentally, I can't think of anyone else that can prepare a team better for a challenge like this. And like what we've already said, like what Ed said was spot on. You can't take into consideration the 3 times that we've played them this season. You have to think about, this is just another game, and all of that goes out the window. It's a different challenge on a different pitch, but we've got the advantage that we're going to have, hopefully over 38,000 fans cheering us on, because I'm hoping that we're going to get some more tickets. So, I just think mentally, potentially, we're going to be more prepared. But you don't know what Orient are doing behind the scenes. So they've got people like Pratley, haven't they? So who's been there, done it, and got the T-shirt. So, I think we're quite evenly matched, actually.
Yeah. Tom, I was going to ask, actually, just before we go to the break then, Sue mentioned it there. I mean, the likelihood is we're going to have more fans than Leyton Orient there. It's just historical, that's just the way it is. There's nothing against the O's. It's nothing for Charlton. I mean, does that play an effect on a match day? I think I heard Millwall lost to Wigan once when Wigan had about 8,000 there and Millwall had about 50. Like, I just don't think that's really going to have a big effect on it.
I think it affects the match day experience for sure, but whether it affects the players, I don't know. And this goes back to the point Sue was just saying, and Ed and a couple of others were mentioning in the chat. It's about handling the occasion, and I'm interested to see what Dave says about how Orient players have handled big game pressures. But I've said it plenty of times on this show, the big games that we've had this season, the ones that have felt huge, Birmingham at home, obviously we came through, Birmingham away less so, Wrexham away obviously really struggled, but we had injury problems on that day. The Wycombe away game, which obviously we won comfortably, and then the playoffs, which, okay, we came through them, but they were cagey. So I think we've got a mixed record. I think people like Doc, the skipper, just almost seemed overpumped a couple of times in some of those games, and so he needs to manage that. I think some of the young players maybe, I don't know if they shy away from it, or I don't know if they just don't really care that it's happening in the same way. People like Godden, been there, done that. I can't remember whether he's been up through the playoffs or not, but he's certainly been involved in playoff campaigns several times in his career. So you're looking at those people, the likes of him, and like Sue says, Berry just being around, even if he's not involved in the actual game, just keeping the players calm. I think we've basically spent 32 minutes talking about how we can't treat this like a normal game because it matters so much more. If the players can try as best they can to keep it as close to that level as possible, then, as I say, we will then be our best version, and then we've got a chance. But if they crumble under pressure, then that's going to be a struggle. But having said all that, if you pass a ball back to your goalkeeper and it goes into your own net at Wembley 5 minutes into a game, you could so easily crumble at that point, and look what went on to happen. So nothing's going to be decided in the early part of the game. I think the crowd for us will be great, that it's big numbers there. But for the players, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. I think the whole Wembley experience is just what it is, and they're going to experience it once this season. So it's not like they're going, last time I was here, there was only 15,000 Charlton fans. That's not how it works, because it's there. I think it's different if they're playing at the Valley and it's sold out like Wycombe, whereas last time we played Wycombe at home, it wasn't. So I think it's just too much of a one-off occasion to really affect the players.
It took me about 3 years to find that back pass own goal funny. Even though we went on within 90 minutes to go and win the game, I still couldn't laugh at it. I just remember sitting there in absolute shock. It was like, Jesus, what have we done on the biggest stage? And then you wait in a couple of minutes and the texts start coming through from your mates. And I had PTSD about that, even though we went on to win the game in the most remarkable fashion possible. So if there's one thing we can take out of Sunday's game, can we not do that again, please? Right, let's have a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Mr. Leyton Orient himself, Dave Victor.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. Joe is telling us that the River Ale House will be open until 1 a.m. after the game for celebrations or therapy as required. And don't forget, it's a bank holiday on the Monday. And we will be doing a show on Monday morning at 10 a.m. No matter what happens, we'll be back here 10 a.m. If we win, I imagine there'll be a lot of people. If we lose, it might just be me. But we'll see how that works out. Right, let's start to look ahead to the game again from a Leyton Orient point of view. Absolutely delighted to say that BBC Radio London's Dave Victor joins us again on Charlton Live. Dave, always a pleasure. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good, very excited, and I'd imagine you are all as well.
We certainly are. Dave, the idea of an all-London playoff final started getting sort of mooted around the time we played you at Brisbane Road a couple of months ago now. I mean, it's going to be some occasion, but, you know, there's been a lot made of how Charlton have ended up, you know, the run we've had from Christmas, but I think it's probably overshadowed by the run that Leyton Orient have had to go on this season to get into the playoffs, because at one point you were in possible threat of relegation, and now you've ended up in the playoff final. It's been a remarkable season for the O's.
Yes, at the start of November, when Huddersfield beat Leyton Orient in E10, the O's were in the bottom three, and Huddersfield, I think, that night went to the top of the table. So, yes, our journey has been remarkable. The chairman, Nigel Travis, shared after we clinched a place in the top six that when the fixtures came out, he looked at the last game of the season, which was away at Huddersfield, and he thought exactly the same thing as I did. It'll be a difficult place to go if you need a result to stay up.
Dave, we've been talking a lot on the show about where the pressure sits between the two clubs. I don't know if there's an answer. We've kind of landed on both, but from an Orient perspective, where do Orient fans or the club as a whole, can you gauge kind of where they see the pressure landing on Sunday?
Well, I think it's a case of the O's will go there looking to impress, and I think they probably will. I think that the way in which Richie Wellens has coped with the sort of break that there is between the playoff semi-finals and the big day itself is probably the right way to go. He didn't want the players to be sort of engulfed with all the difficulties of focusing on the game and families and friends demanding tickets. So he sent them all off to Portugal with the strict instruction to forget football for a while. And I think that was probably, Sunday will prove whether or not it was the right way to go. I was at the ground today for the press conference, and the players were looking very smart in their suits. And yeah, I think they're taking it seriously. It's a young group of players that have got better during the course of the campaign. They're so much better since Christmas than they were at the start of the season. That's because of the likes of Charlie Kelman and Jamie Donnelly in particular have just got better and better. And they're young players, and it's going to be a big stage, and I think it's their opportunity to prove just how good they are.
Hey, Dave. With Nathan Jones and Richie Wellens, I think are pretty evenly balanced as managers in their abilities. But what would you have one down to have a slight edge over the other? Because obviously they've both had promotions, and it's a way they're going to approach this game. But would you put it down? Because sometimes they always say in football it's a fine margin. Could that fine margin actually be the manager this time?
It could be, and I think it will be interesting to see how both managers use their substitutes, because it's a big pitch, it's likely to be a warm day, and I think that the whole squad will be important, and Charlton might have the edge there. You've definitely got a bigger squad than the O's, but Orient players are coming back to full fitness right at the right time, and Richie Wellens, more often than not, gets those changes absolutely spot on. I think the journey that Richie Wellens has been on at Brisbane Road is very different to that of Nathan Jones, because of course when he'd taken over, I think it's probably 7 or 8 games without a win, and everybody was sort of looking over their shoulders and concerned that we might be dropping back into the dreaded National League. So, you know, he's turned a struggling side initially into champions. As he says, he hasn't had much experience of playoffs because he doesn't normally need it. You know, he's had automatic promotion with Swindon, and of course, Leyton Orient. I think the only time that he's really been involved in the playoffs was back in 2001 when he was a Blackpool player at the Millennium Stadium when Blackpool came from behind to win against the O's.
Hi, Dave. I was just thinking about, because we've obviously talked about what you take from the games that we've played against each other, and we had the same conversation when we played Wickham in the semis, and what we could take from the previous meetings. What do you think now? Is Richie the type of manager that will think about those 2 games where we beat you both times, or will he just be like, right, how will he manage that side of things?
Well, I think he'll be aware as to the reason, particularly at Brisbane Road, why we lost the games. And I think that was because of the fact that we had some key central defenders who were injured. It was a period of the season when, the squad was really stretched. I think that the first goal was sort of, probably would have accepted that, but to have deja vu just moments later is something that Richie Wellens wouldn't accept, and probably I don't think would have happened had the likes of Beckles and others have been available to provide the power as well as the know-how in the centre of the defence at that particular point. So we know what a threat Charlton will present, particularly from set pieces, but the O's will have pace and they'll have youth on their side. I think it's a hungry team. You've got the likes of Ethan Galbraith and of course Charlie Kelman, who are really on top of the game at the moment, and they're loving it. And have got to remember the goalkeeper Josh Keeley, who's been an absolute superstar this season. Anybody that scores the equaliser in the 9th minute of stoppage time in the FA Cup, you're going to be a hero.
And that was a season-changing moment as well for the O's. James is asking is this a free hit for Orient? And so to dive into that question, I guess maybe there's more expectation on Charlton, I think, just because of the club size. But Richie, that great interview with you a couple of weeks ago where he said if they don't go up, then next season he'd fancy himself to finish top 2 if he could keep that squad together, which obviously will be difficult with the loanees who'd have to go back. But do you see this as your one chance?
Well, Richie was interested in, he's asked a very similar question earlier today at the press conference. And he talked about Manchester City and he said that was a free hit because, we weren't expected to beat Manchester City and we weren't ever going to win the FA Cup, but we could get into the championship, and it's a special group of players. There is no doubt about that. Many of them are on loan. They seem to enjoy each other's company. They've certainly grown together, and that's because of the direction of Richie Wellens and his staff. Richie is an incredibly ambitious manager. He'll want to be in the championship, and he'll know that his chance of keeping some of these players at Brisbane Road will be if Leyton Orient are in the championship next season.
Yeah, and the job he's done there is remarkable, and I do wonder if there will be outside interest as well if it doesn't happen this year for the O's. I feel like he hinted at that maybe in an interview as well.
Possibly. I know what Nigel Travis, the chairman, would be saying to such a thing is that's a high-end problem. That's the sort of thing that at Leyton Orient you would want. If people are wanting your manager, then that's got to be a positive.
And just finally then, we all know about the threats of the likes of Charlie Kelman, but it's always nice to catch up with some familiar faces, some former Charlton players. Pratley, obviously a big part of Charlton's playoff campaign back in 2019. Sean Clare involved as well. I don't know if DJ's been playing much recently, but what can we expect from some of those former Charlton players on Sunday? I'm sure there's at least one who's willing to try and wipe the smirk off our faces.
Yes, I'm surprised that Reg Edmonds Green was transferred at the time that he was. Both Charlton and Bolton Wanderers gave Leyton Orient very good players that had a big influence on what's happened since January, with Williams coming from Bolton and, of course, Reg coming from yourselves. And that was when we were really, really tight in terms of a shortage of central defenders. And he's played very well. He's some very good sliding challenges, and to his credit, he's often played with different partners. And again, that's because of the ongoing injury problems. But I think that's not going to be the case tomorrow. Sean Clare undoubtedly is best when he's playing in midfield, which I don't think is necessarily been the case for yourselves. DJ was outstanding against Manchester City, no doubt about that one, of course. Darren Pratley is now 40 years of age, and even if he doesn't play the 90 minutes, which I suspect he won't, he is a huge influence in this squad. There is a balance about Leyton Orient at the moment, and Darren Pratley with his know-how, and he is somebody who just loves the game. He just relishes every moment. He'll love the occasion, and particularly as it's against Charlton Athletic. But he's one of these players, wherever he's gone, he's a legend, because he's just such a lovely fella, and his enthusiasm spills over. He'll relish the occasion. He'll be very relaxed, and I think that the other players will take his lead.
Brilliant. Dave, look, it's been an honour to have you on the show at different times this season, particularly ahead of such a massive game on Sunday. I look forward to seeing you there.
Absolutely. Take care.
There we go. That's Dave Victor joining us on Charlton Live. An absolute pleasure to have Dave on. In the build-up to to this game on Radio London, there's been sort of, I hope jokingly, suggestions that me and Dave should have a fight because he'd absolutely batter me, wouldn't he? So yeah, hopefully they're only joking and Phil isn't actually going to make us do that. But yeah, brilliant to have Dave on. He is Mr. Leyton Orient. Right, as I mentioned earlier, days at Wembley. They're about big occasions. They're about the club. They're about trying to get promoted. But for me personally, a day out at Wembley is about Charlton Athletic supporters. And I wanted to get a very special supporter on the show this evening. And I'm delighted to say that we're being joined by a man who's enjoyed his 5 minutes of fame, let's put it that way, over this week. Now, you may remember when the winning goal went in against Wycombe Wanderers at the Valley on Thursday night. One gentleman in particular caught the attention of the Sky TV cameras, Mr. James Wilkes, who put his shirt over his head and revealed the size of his love for Charlton Athletic. And I'm delighted to say that James joins us now. James, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're delighted to have you on. I mean, as we mentioned on the show on Friday evening, that we've got some history. We've known you guys for a little while, and our excitement when you appeared on the telly was very high. I mean, what was that like? What's the last few days been like for you?
Well, this last week has been absolutely crazy. Newspapers, did a bit for Charlton TV at Wembley yesterday. That was quite fun. It's just been surreal for just lifting up my top in that mad moment of mayhem I had.
So talk us through what was going through your head then. I mean, I'm guessing you didn't know the cameras were there, or did you see them panning across, or was it just the pure excitement of the goal? Because we all were expressing it in different ways at that moment.
Not much was going through my head, to be honest, as you can tell, apart from my shirt. No, it wasn't planned. There was a camera in front, but that was more focused on the North Stand. So again, it was just that mad moment of mentality, really. It's just caught up in the euphoria and furor of everything and just went crazy.
I was going to say, James, what I loved about it, and I think you referenced it in an interview with Rich today, was there was no phone, there was no one, like it wasn't planned, no one was filming it. It was just a fan caught in the moment. But obviously you've now got that as a thing. So people, I assume cameras will be on you at Wembley now as a result of that. Have you thought about what you'll do if Charlton score at Wembley, or are you just going to try and just keep it to just, I'll react how I react to the goal, which I think is probably what everyone wants.
It will be natural. I'm not planning anything. As I said to the SLP, everything I did was just naturally just occurred. And planning it now would just ruin it. You know, it would ruin the sensation of obviously scoring the goal. To think, oh, I need to score. What am I going to do? It's not what football is. I like football with no mobile phones in their hands. If you look at Tottenham, at Wembley, Crystal Palace, everyone's got their phones in their hands. It's against modern football.
You know what? I totally agree with you there. Thing is, you lift your shirt up, you get all this publicity. I lift my shirt up, I get kicked off the show for a week. So I don't think, Sunday now. How excited are you per se? Are you one of those fans who literally, as soon as you wake up, you're going to have your shirt on straight away, then go and get your breakfast? Or is it kind of be like you take your time, you'll sort of like meet up with some mates and then gradually make your way there? Have you sort of like planned how your day's going to go yet, or is it pretty much see how it is?
Yeah, it's getting planned. Be up at 5 o'clock in the morning because we've got to travel down to London. Living in Norfolk is quite a long way to come down. So public transport on the Sunday is not the best of things anyway. But yeah, the shirt will be straight on. As soon as I come out of the shower, Sunday morning, shirt will be on. And obviously making sure I have the old cup of coffee in the old Charlton mug before I leave the house.
Sorry about that, James. I'm reading all the comments. So, like you're saying, you travel all that way, and it's a big family thing. Have you always been from up that way? And what is it about Charlton that's kind of kept you going? And I think you come with your daughter, so just like tell us a little bit about that, because like we are really big on that family thing, aren't we? So it's always nice to talk to people about how it's gone down the generations, or even when someone's moved away, they keep going.
Yeah. Well, I actually come from Eltham, South East London. Moved up here about 8 years ago, and I actually met my missus up here, who turned out she was a Charlton fan. So it was a bit surreal, really, to meet somebody 150 miles away from home. And since then, it's just been going down to Charlton on weekends. One of our first days out was actually down at Charlton together. And then we started taking the kids. Obviously, both my daughters were going down there with us, and obviously buying the cider, the Aldi cider, which they still reminded me to mention their names. So Elise and Sophie and Emma. Yeah, it was just a real, obviously, meeting them up here and making a move. But initially, I had to give up the season ticket, so I was a bit gutted to start off with. But over the years, we just started going back again and won't look back.
Well, James, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show this week. As I said, when we saw you on the TV, we were very excited because we were reminded of that moment when we were given the Aldi side. It must have been 6 or 7 years ago now. It was ages ago, wasn't it? But it was very, very, very funny. And it's great to see you on. I really hope you and your family have a great day on Sunday. Lucas from Brazil says that belly could be seen from Brazil, I can assure you. So you went all around the world, mate. James, yeah, it's been great to have you on. Cheers, mate.
No, thank you very much. See you later. Take care.
There we go. That's James Wilkes, Charlton fan, who went viral during the week for his celebration of the winning goal against Wycombe in the semi-final. Right. There are a couple of things we haven't really spoken about the game. I have got very much caught up in the occasion, which I know is not the thing you're supposed to do, but I have. But Tobias has asked a question, and someone did ask it earlier on today. Have we discussed the VAR thing, the VAR thing? So one of the things that perhaps gets swept under the carpet a little bit about our 2019 win is there's a reasonable chance the goal would have been ruled out in VAR. I think the winning goal, I think Piercy was a little bit over the defender. I think it should have stood, but it certainly would have been one where they would have had a good old long look at it, Tom. Now on Sunday, we're going to have to deal with VAR, which we don't deal with on a day-to-day basis in our games. I'm just not used to it. I mean, Russell says it's going to be massive. It could be big, you know. It could ruin a moment for starters, like we saw in 2019. You know, James not excited to see it. Tommy's not excited to see it. I'm a bit concerned. I'm a bit concerned that that's gonna take the edge off a little bit on Sunday.
I feel like even if VAR had been in that day, as fans of League One clubs, we're not really prepped for it. So I still think that moment happens. Okay, maybe the goal then gets ruled out, but you still have that minute or two of pure joy. And obviously then, yes, it does. But I think in terms of on Sunday, certainly for me, if a goal goes in, I don't think my first thought will be VAR at all. When goals go in at the Valley and someone's tight onside or offside, I'm not looking straight to the linesman. I'm celebrating first and not really worrying about it. And the thing is, look, we could do it 4 hours on VAR, but the thing is, it's there to make the right decision. And if that's what it's used for and it's just used in the right purposes, I think that's a good thing. The problem is that it's just misused, and as a result, it's crap because they use it for every tiny little thing. They're looking if toenails are offside, all this sort of stuff. I don't want that at all. I've been to a couple of international games at Wembley, which I think was the first time I ever was at a game with VAR, and it is weird because you've got no idea what's going on. So all of that stuff we're going to have to deal with. But realistically, it probably impacts 2 or 3 things in a game at most. And I think for most of it, and as I say, because we're not used to it, I hope we can just enjoy the game for what it is. And hopefully it doesn't even get needed. Look, if it rules out a goal for Charlton for an offside that wouldn't have happened had it not been there, of course I'll be gutted. But ultimately that's there to do a job. And you know, if it was Leyton Orient doing that, we'd want VAR to be able to do that because we'd be moaning after the game. So it's there for a purpose. I think at the moment it's used badly. And as I say, we haven't got time to go into that detail now. But it will be strange, of course. If a goal does go in and then they do a VAR check, that will be odd, those few minutes. But I don't think if a goal goes in that moment immediately, it will be ruined. I thought James was going to say, well, James's moves still be out. Imagine that immediate reaction absolutely will be. Whether they're offside, that's a question for VAR. But yeah, I think in the moment, I hope it doesn't impact it anyway.
Yeah, Paul says hopefully it would catch Kelman 80 yards offside at least. After that one they slightly got away with in the build-up. I mean, the question was asked earlier, forgive me because I can't find it in the chat now because there's loads of you commenting, but do we have to change our game for that, Mark? We have to be careful. Like, we can't, if I'm not saying we have, because I've not massively noticed it, but if we've been getting away with the odd shirt pull at a corner, I mean, you've got to be very, very careful because if VAR spots that, they'll give a penalty against you.
Well, the funny thing is, one of the things they discussed on Sky about how much Omar Beckles at corners doesn't look with the ball, just wrestles his man to the ground and then gets away with it. Yeah, all defenders are pulley, shirty, tuggy. So, I mean, a lot of the time it is 50-50. But they've said with Orient's record from corners and set pieces, and they did highlight Beckles twice, that could be something. If it works in our favour, it's right. I mean, the reason we haven't had it for 46 games is that every club has to have the same facilities to do that, and every club can't afford to do that. So, and at Wembley, everything's already in place for it. Do I like it? No. Do I want it? No. But unfortunately, we're going to have it. So, but it could work in our favour. So, do we have to change our game plan? I don't think so. I can't think anything which has been. I mean, all our penalties and free kicks we've given away were quite blatant anyway. I mean, McIntyre punching the ball. So it was one of those things. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I think as long as we play our game, I can see, Godwin being wrestled to the ground by somebody and a referee being told, go and look at the monitor, and he sticks the ball away for a pen. So it could, if it works in our favour, we love it. If it doesn't work in our favour, we'll hate it. And that's just the nature of VM Beast.
Yeah, Harry says the League One refs are terrible. Maybe VAR will help. I'm assuming. Look, the ref we've got on Sunday has only refed us once. I imagine they're from a higher division. I haven't really massively looked into it. Joe says, thank God there isn't VAR in League One. Refs are so bad the games would last all week. Sam says, don't worry, Louis. They can't get it right in the Premier League either. Well, that's good then. That's something to look forward to. Right, we had an email in from Mad Dog Mendonca. It says, long time no speak. We haven't heard from you for a while. So no disrespect intended, but I'm sick to the back teeth of playing in this Cabbage Patch League versus old mining towns and tin pot clubs. We've been in League One for far too much of the last 15 years. It's time to turn the tide. I don't like us as favourites, but I believe we will prevail 1-0 to the Charlton. Up the Charlton. That's from Mad Dog Mendonca. Tom, final say to you then. I mean, talk us through your mindset. What's your day going to be like? What pub are you going to? Are you drinking loads to try and get through it? Are you savouring the occasion with your friends and family? How are you handling it?
On my mindset, the only thing that's genuinely calmed me down is chatting about James's moves so far. So I might just need to find him on the day. I think that'll make it easier. But no, it'll be me, Amy, my wife, and my uncle. We'll go to the Green Man. I think I'll have a couple. Like I say, I had 2 or 3 pints before the semi-final, and that just kept my nerves calm. But I think get there early, do all the nice photos outside Wembley, sort of soak that up, have a couple of pints, and then get in there and try and not have a heart attack, I think, is the main thing. I mean, if it goes to penalties, I absolutely won't be watching. There is no chance at all I will watch those. But until that point, I think just enjoy the day. Just simple as that. Try and enjoy it, whatever happens, and hopefully see everybody in the Championship next year.
Lovely stuff. Right, check your trains before Sunday. There's quite a few train lines that aren't running on Sunday. Sorry to do a boring update, but I just don't want anyone getting there at 11 o'clock Sunday and then realising there's no train coming from your local station. So there's nothing on the Sidcup line. There's nothing on quite a few other lines around. So make sure you check that before Sunday. Let's make sure we get to Wembley with plenty of time. 1 minute past 1 o'clock kickoff. It's the Every Minute Matters campaign, which is why we're kicking off a minute later. Don't get there bang on for 1. You'll be way too early, but 1 minute past 1 is when the game's starting. We will see you there. Right, I'm really, really, really nervous again. Same as what happened in the semi-finals. When we had the show to think about, I was fine. Now that's gone. Now I am filling my pants with nerves ahead of the game on Sunday. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be loud. It's going to be something special. It's going to be one hell of a game. Let's hope that it's the Addicts that come out on top. Massive thanks for everyone who's joined us live on the show and live in the chat this evening. Tom, Mark and Sue, enjoy it Sunday. I look forward to seeing you all there or thereabouts.
Up the
Will do,
Addicts.
mate, will do.
Here we go. Lovely stuff. Right, I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. Thanks for listening. We shall see you all at Wembley Stadium on Sunday. We'll see you there.